Welcome to our discussion for today sa issue ng problem solving. Problem solving is a very important topic in cognitive psychology kasi ang pinaka-reason, lahat ng tao merong problema. Sabi nga nila, isa sa mga bagay na hindi mawawala sa buhay ng tao is other than tax o yung buwis would be problem. All over the world, this is a universal experience. All people have problems. Kaya naman, nararapat lang na alamin natin kung paano ba natin mas mapapabuti yung sarili natin in trying to solve our problems. There are many things that we need to know about problem solving that I divided this lecture into two parts para hindi masyadong maraming sinasabi for one video. So this is part 1 and the next episode will be part 2 on problem solving. So again, tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, my main goal for this video is to teach you how to be a better problem solver. Take note, paano maging mas magaling sa pag-solve ng problema. Hindi ko sinabing isosolve ko yung problema mo ngayon. Okay? So what are the things that cognitive psychologists can teach us para mas magaling tayo sa pag-solve ng ating mga problema? Unahin muna natin yung definition of a problem. Paano mo ba malalaman na ang isang bagay ay problema nga? The definition of the word problem in the dictionary is this. As a noun, a matter of situation regarded as unwelcome or harmful and needing to be dealt with and overcome. Yung second naman na definition, all inquiries starting from given conditions to investigate or demonstrate a fact, result, or law. Medyo mahirap intindihin yung mga definitions na ito, but to make it simple, ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng problema? Any obstacle to a goal. Meron kang gustong ma-achieve, pero merong humaharang sa'yo para ma-achieve yun, ang tawag mo dun sa obstacle na yon is a problem. For example, gusto mong yumaman. That's your goal. Pero maraming balakid sa pagyaman mo. Diba, gumagastos ka, maraming nangungutang sa'yo, or nawalan ka ng trabaho during the pandemic. So these three are holding you back to achieve your goal. Anong tawag mo dun sa tatlo na yon? Yun yung tinatawag natin problems. Any obstacle that you have from achieving your goal can be considered a problem. In fact, in the Bible, sinabi na ni Jesus mismo na ang mundo, punong-puno talaga ng obstacles yan from achieving our goals in life. Sabi nga niya, in this world, you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. So, merong presence ng problema. Ang problem, meron siyang special mention in the Bible. John 16 verse 33. Now, another thing you need to know about problem is, karamihan ng mga problema is in question form. Kaya kapag sinabi mong problem solving, meron kang tanong na sasagutin. So that's very important. Remember that problems are in question form. Paano ako makakapasa? Paano ako makakabayad ng utang? Paano ko siya hihiwalayan? If you notice, yung mga questions na yan, makikita mo yung dalawang elemento ng sinabi ko kanina, no? Balakid or obstacle towards a goal. For the first problem, ano yung mga obstacles dyan? Marami. For the second, for the third, marami mga obstacles dyan. And you can clearly see from these questions yung goals. Paano makakapasa, makakabayad ng utang, at hihiwalayan. Okay, so that's a very important idea to understand about problems. Most problems are in question forms. Kasi meron na kaagad tayong application na pwedeng gawin about that idea. It's very important for us to learn na gawin nating tanong ang ating mga problems. Isa sa mga reasons kung bakit hirap mag-solve ng problema ang tao is because they don't know what the problem is in the first place. They don't know what the question is in the first place. Hindi nila alam yung tanong na dapat nilang sagutin. And that's very important, defining the problem first before solving the problem. Sabi nga ni paring Charles, a problem well stated is a problem half solved. It's not usually hard to find solutions once you understand the problem. Itong mga words na ito, again, it's giving importance to the idea or to the skill of defining our problem. Kinakailangan marunong kang i-convert yung problem mo into a question form. Halimbawa, malungkot ako. Problema mo yan. Oh, pare, anong problema mo? Pare, malungkot ako. Hindi problema yung sinabi niya. It's not a statement of the problem. A better way of saying it is, paano ako sasaya? So pag tinanong kita, pare, anong problema mo? Problema ko pre kung paano ako sasaya. Now, that's better. It's more motivating to solve your problem if it is in question form. Kasi kapag wala sa question form yung problema mo, like sinabi mo lang na malungkot ako, parang hindi siya nakaka-motivate, hindi siya appealing to solve because it is not in the form of a question. So again, first application, if you want to be a better problem solver, gawin mong question form yung mga problema mo. Application number 2, differentiate problems from not problems. Kasi alam nyo, sa buhay, sa ating psychological life, merong mga bagay na clearly problema na kinakailangan mong isolve, pero hindi lahat ng problema ay sinosolve. Merong mga problema, in the first place, hindi problema ang tawag sa kanya, it's called a fact of life. Again, anong pinagkaiba ng problem sa fact of life? No? According to this quotation, when you find no solution to a problem, it's probably not a problem to be solved, but rather a truth to be accepted. One of the reasons bakit palpak tayo sa pag-solve ng ating mga problema, it's because we are solving a problem in the first place that is not a problem. Sinosolve mo ang problema na hindi naman dapat pinoproblema. Kaya ka pumapalpak sa efforts mo to solve that problem. Maybe you are trying to solve a fact of life. Now, what's the difference between a problem and a fact of life? Kapag problema, ito yung mga bagay na sinosolve mo. Hinahanapan mo ng solusyon. Kapag fact of life, ito yung mga bagay-bagay sa buhay natin that we just have to accept and we need to learn how to deal with this. So, ang fact of life, hindi siya sinosolve. Hindi siya hinahanapan ng solusyon because it's just the way it is. 'Di ba? Halimbawa, one example of a problem would be, paano tataas ang grades ko? Now, that's clearly a problem. 'Di ba? Gusto mong malaman mga ways na pwede mong gawin to increase your grades. Meron ka pang magagawa dyan, kaya mong solusyonan yan. Pero ang fact of life, walang solusyon. Like for example, paano ko palalamigin ang araw? 'Di ba? Hindi siya problema na dapat mong isolve because the sun is hot in its own way. Hindi mo na dapat problemahin kung paano lalamig yung araw. Or maybe sabihin mo, paano ba lalamig ang summer? 'Di ba? Hindi mo dapat palamigin yung summer because it is a form of a weather. 'Di ba? Wala kang magagawa sa weather. It is something that just happens. So again, if you want to be a better problem solver, kinakailangan pipiliin mo o i-differentiate mo yung mga bagay na problema and fact of life. And you only concentrate your efforts to solve problems, not facts of life. In fact, a big no-no, yung pagbaliktarin mo yung approach mo. 'Di ba? Yung tinatanggap mo na lang yung problema, tapos sinosolve mo yung fact of life. Yan ang masama. In fact, that's one of the reasons why a lot of people are frustrated in life. 'Di ba, mababa yung kanilang self-confidence. Pag tinanong mo sila, bakit mababa confidence mo? Kasi hindi ko masolve yung mga problema ko. Well, the thing is, maybe yung mga problems na sinosolve nila are not problems in the first place. Instead of solving those problems, they need to learn how to deal with those facts of life. So, in your own time, I want you to differentiate. Ilagay mo sa notebook mo. Ano ba yung mga issues mo sa buhay that you can consider a problem and you can consider facts of life? And then you ask yourself, am I solving problems and not facts of life? That can clearly help you in having a better way of approaching problems. Now, there's another important thing that we need to remember about problems. Meron daw dalawang klase ng problems, no? If you are going to collect all problems in the world, you can categorize problems into two. Merong ill-defined problems at merong well-defined problems. Pag well-defined problems, ito yung mga problema na klarong-klaro ang solusyon. Merong kang problema, merong tanong, merong tamang sagot sa tanong na yon. If your problem is like that, it's called well-defined problem. Maraming ganyang mga problema in the field of the natural sciences, even in mathematics, di ba? Sa mathematics, meron kang problema at merong clear na formula kang dapat gamitin to solve that problem. So ang mga mathematicians talaga everyday, they are dealing with well-defined problems. Given this equation, given this problem, ano ang formula na tama kong gamitin to solve that problem? A more practical example of a well-defined problem is how can I change my flat tire? Halimbawa, na-flat ka, 'di ba? Nakita mo na mahirap umandar yung kotse mo nung sumilip ka sa bintana, flat pala yung gulong mo. That is a well-defined problem. Bakit? Isa lang naman ang solusyon diyan at yan ay palitan ang gulong, 'di ba? So, kapag na-flat ka, ang isang solusyon lang diyan is paano mo tatanggalin yung gulong at papalitan mo ng bago. Wala ka ng ibang gagawin. Yun lang para ma-solve mo yung problem na yan. It's called a well-defined problem. Or, for example, nag-withdraw ka ng pera sa isang ATM machine, tapos yung card mo, kinain ng ATM machine, hindi na niya sinole. There is only one solution to that problem, and that is to call the customer service. 'Di ba? Yun lang yung isang paraan. Yun lang yung dapat mong gawin to solve that problem. Wala nang iba. Again, you call those problems well-defined problems. Ibang-iba yan sa ill-defined problems. Pag ill-defined problems naman, yung mga solution na dapat mong gawin sa isang problema, hindi pa klaro. There is no single correct formula. There are many possible solutions to that problem. Kapag ganyan yung nature ng problema mo, it's called ill-defined problem. In fact, dadagdagan ko lang yan, no? Kapag hindi mo alam totally yung gagawin mo for that problem will be considered ill-defined problem. Okay? So again, anong ibig sabihin ng ill-defined problem? Maraming posibleng solusyon or totally hindi mo alam kung ano ang sagot doon sa problema na yon, you can consider that ill-defined problems. Like for example, ano ba yung mga problema can be considered ill-defined? What is a good life? How can I have a satisfying life? Or paano ba ako mamahalin ng mga tao? These questions, maraming possible answers dyan. Maraming possible approaches dyan. Walang iisang tamang sagot for you to answer these problems. Therefore, ang tawag dito, ill-defined problems. Lalong-lalo na kapag hindi mo alam yung mga sagot dyan, di ba? Totally, you're clueless. How do you have a good life? How to be more satisfied in life? Then, in that case, kung wala kang idea on how to answer those questions, that problem can be considered ill-defined problems. If you are going to compare ill-defined problems and well-defined problems, ano ang mas madaling isolve? Mas madaling isolve yung well-defined problems. Kasi sa well-defined problems, ang gagawin mo na lang is i-apply mo na lang yung formula o yung mga steps na tamang gawin to solve the problem. That's it. Diba? The formula is out there. You just have to identify the formula and then execute it. Pero kapag ill-defined problem kasi, walang formula eh. 'Di ba? There are times ikaw pa mismo ang gagawa ng sarili mong formula to solve an ill-defined problem. Halimbawa, paano mag-move on from a broken relationship? Iniwan ka, niloko ka ng ex mo. 'Di ba? Paano ka makaka-move on from your ex? Wala namang klarong formula dyan eh. 'Di ba? Ikaw mismo ang gagawa ng mga paraan, okay, on how to make yourself move on from your ex. Kaya mas time-consuming mag-solve ng ill-defined problem compared to a well-defined problem. Okay? Now, one key to better problem solving is na may kinalaman sa ill-defined problem and well-defined problem is this one. May mga pagkakataon na yung ill-defined problems na sinasabi natin are well-defined problems. That's one of the reasons why people are not good with problem solving. Nami-mislabel natin yung type ng problema. Akala natin ill-defined problem, yun pala, kung titignan mo pa ng mas malalim, it is a well-defined problem. Meron ka na palang tamang dapat gawin. Hindi mo palang alam kung ano yung formula na yon, pero meron na palang formula. So you have mislabeled the problem to be ill-defined when in the first place, it is a well-defined problem. And usually, nangyayari yan kapag nakaka-encounter ka ng mga problems na first time mong ma-encounter. Diba? Kasi when you encounter a problem for the first time, yung natural state mo dyan is you have lack of knowledge. You are ignorant to that type of problem. So most likely, kapag kulang yung kaalaman mo, i-categorize mo yung problem na yan as an ill-defined problem. Remember the definition of ill-defined problem? Right? If you sense that you don't have an idea, 0% on how to solve that problem, ill-defined problem yan. At tuwing kailan nangyayari yan, yung zero knowledge ka on how to solve a problem, when you encounter problems for the first time. You lack knowledge, therefore, you may mislabel that problem to be an ill-defined problem. Kaya naman, halimbawa, one good example of this would be natrap ka sa isang island. Imagine ikaw ay nasa eroplano, nag-crash yung eroplano, swerte ikaw lang ang nabuhay, and you are trapped in an island. Okay, your problem is, how do you survive from that island? And how do you build a boat para makawala ka sa island na yan? Because the island is so isolated from civilization. Yan yung dalawang problema mo. Diba? Paano ka tatagal sa island na yan? At paano ka makakaalis dyan? Now, what do you call these problems? Most likely, you are going to consider this ill-defined problems kasi you have no idea. You have no idea what you can do to survive. You have no idea how to build a boat para makawala ka sa island na yan. Pero kung titignan mo yung situation deeper, how to survive and how to build a boat, these are well-defined problems. Meron talagang mga tamang solusyon dyan para masagot yung mga katanungan na yan. Di ba magbasa ka ng libro on wilderness survival, those two problems are clearly solved. Meron talagang formula dyan. Meron kang mga bagay na tamang gagawin dyan for you to solve these problems. But again, if you are in that situation, first time mo siyang na-encounter, you will consider this problem an ill-defined problem. Diba? Kaya naman, in relation to that, application number 3 on how to become a better problem solver is you need to increase your knowledge. Lalong-lalo na kapag meron kang problema na sa tingin mo ill-defined, siguraduhin mo muna na yung problema mo talaga is ill-defined. After all, maybe the problem that you are facing is a well-defined problem. Meron na palang solusyon out there. Hindi mo palang alam na yun pala ang dapat gawin. And how would you know kung ano ang dapat gawin with that problem? You do your research. Kaya nga one way to effectively increase your knowledge about anything para tumaas yung chance mo na masosolve mo yung problema is to do your research. Increase mo yung knowledge mo. You try to observe, you try to experiment, you try to ask around. The more you have knowledge on the problem that you have right now, mas marami kang mga knowledge na alam, mas tumataas yung chance that you will be able to solve your problem. Yung ill-defined problem, unti-unti nagiging well-defined problem because you are increasing the knowledge that you have na pwede mong magamit to solve that problem. Diba? O another example, paano maging hindi magastos? Most people will say this is an ill-defined problem because there are many possibilities on how to solve the problem. Pero alam nyo, meron na talagang formula dyan. Diba? Marami ng mga research na nagawa dyan on how to save money. All you need to do is to do your research. Magbasa ka ng libro on saving, magbasa ka ng mga journal articles na nasulat on how people save money and avoid from being careless in spending. Marami ng mga solutions dyan. It's just that marami kasing mga tao hindi o tamad magbasa. No? They are not placing high importance on researching about their problems. Kaya hirap na hirap silang isolve yung problems nila. You know, yung gumagawa pa sila ng iba't ibang mga approaches wherein meron na naman talagang isang effective approach to solve that problem. Hindi lang nila alam. Bakit nila hindi alam? Because they are not increasing their knowledge. Another two concepts that are very important to remember in the field of problem solving is the difference between convergent thinking and divergent thinking. Now, para mas malinaw, these are types of thinking kung paano tayo dapat mag-isip. According to cognitive psychologists, when we encounter a problem, we have two options on how we can solve that problem. We can solve that problem using our convergent thinking or solve that problem using divergent thinking. Parang ano lang yan, no? Parang cellphone. Yung cellphone natin merong general mode, merong silent mode. Tayo rin ganyan. We both have these modes. We can choose to be a convergent thinker or we can choose to be a divergent thinker. So, anong pinakaiba ng convergent thinking sa divergent thinking? Kapag divergent thinking ka, you are thinking of possible ways to reach a solution. Marami kang mga solutions na hinahanap or possibilities to solve a problem. Yung convergent thinking mode naman, you are just after a solution. Hinahanapan mo ng formula yung isang problema. Again, divergent, many possibilities. Convergent, naghahanap ka lang ng isang solusyon sa problema. Okay? So kapag convergent mode ka, one solution, divergent mode, many solutions. Now, apply this. Paano ako makakasave ng pera? Now, that's the problem. Kapag ikaw ay isang convergent thinker, hahanap ka ng isang immediate decision. Diba? Gagawa ka ng isang immediate solution. Hindi na ako pupunta sa mall. Diba? Nag-conclude ka kaagad na ito yung solution for me to save money. Ang isang divergent thinker naman, although pwede niyang maisip yan, pero hindi lang siya mag-i-stick dyan. Diba? Iisip pa siya ng iba pang mga possibilities na pwede niyang magamit to solve the problem. Paano ako makakasave ng pera? Ito yung mga pwede kong gawin. Convergent, one best solution. Divergent, many possibilities. Yan yung pinagkaiba ng dalawang modes na yan. And again, because you have both of this, you can choose to be both of this. There are times you can choose to be convergent. There are times you can choose to be divergent. You can also choose to enhance both. In fact, kung gusto mong mas maging magaling na problem solver, kinakailangan ine-exercise mo pareho yan. Ine-exercise mo yung pagiging convergent thinker mo, ine-exercise mo rin yung pagiging divergent thinker mo. That's one way for you to become a more effective problem solver. In fact, sabi nga ng mga education experts, in our education system, we teach students to be a divergent thinker or a convergent thinker depending on the field of knowledge where they are in. Yung mga estudyante daw na nasa science, sila daw yung mga tinuturuan na maging convergent thinkers, while students in the arts, sila yung mga tinuturuan natin na maging divergent thinkers to think about possibilities, di ba? Kaya yung mga, for example sa science, yung mga biology majors, yung mga engineering majors, chemistry majors, most likely convergent mag-isip yan. Yung mga tao naman sa field of arts, yung mga music production, 'di ba, yung mga fine arts, most of them divergent mode ang thinking nila. And by the way, did you know na yung pagiging divergent thinker, looking for different possibilities, ito ay napakahalagang cognitive skill when it comes to the arts because it enhances your creativity. No wonder karamihan ng mga estudyante in the field of arts, a lot of them are divergent thinkers. Na ang tanong, should I do convergent or divergent thinking? 'Di ba? Sabi natin kasi pareho tayong meron 'yan. Pareho natin pwedeng piliin if we are going to be convergent or divergent, ano ang dapat kong mas ginagamit? Ang sagot diyan, pareho mo dapat ginagamit 'yan. Depende lang sa kung anong klase ng problema yung kaharap mo, doon ka pipili if you are going to be a divergent thinker or a convergent thinker. It depends on the field. Like, di ba? Like for example, in the issue of faith, pananampalataya sa Diyos, spiritual life, di ba? You have to be a more convergent thinker there. Di ba? Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na ako mapupunta ako sa langit on my own terms. Gagawa ako ng sarili kong formula para makapunta sa langit because the Bible has already defined what is the right way for you to find God. Di ba? Matthew 7:13-14. Even though enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. John 14:6, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me. Convergent thinking yan. Because we are in the area of faith, relationship with God. 'Di ba? Hindi pwedeng ikaw ang magdi-define ng sarili mong formula in the matter of faith. Pero, when, for example, in the field of sports, paano ka mag-solve ng problema sa field of sports, kinakailangan mas maging divergent thinker ka dyan. Because when you play any sports, di ba, you are always faced with many possibilities. Wala namang formula dyan kung paano manalo eh. Depende lagi yan, yung gagawin mo, depende lagi yan kung paano nagbe-behave yung kalaban mo. 'Di ba? Kaya nga in the field of sports, it's more important that an athlete is a divergent thinker. Kaya karamihan ng mga great athletes that played in different fields of sports, isa sa mga common qualities nila, they are very creative in how they play. They are able to do things on the court that other athletes are not able to do kasi they lack creativity. So, you talk about the best point guards in NBA. Diba? Magic Johnson, Jason Kidd, Jason Williams, Steve Nash. Why are they good point guards? Because they are so creative in passing the ball. Yan kasi yung role ng point guard sa basketball, di ba? Paano ipasa ng maayos yung bola sa mga open teammates mo para makashoot sila ng bola sa ring. And these great athletes, they have a variety of ways on how to do that. 'Di ba? Hindi sila pumapasa ng isang klase lang. Meron silang iba't ibang klase ng paraan on how to pass the ball to an open teammate. Therefore, they become great point guards. You see? So again, ang point ko lang dito is depende sa sitwasyon if you are going to be a convergent thinker or a divergent thinker. In fact, this is connected to the two types of problems na sinabi natin kanina, ill-defined and well-defined. You know? Kapag yung problema mo ill-defined, it helps more if you are a divergent thinker. Kapag well-defined yung problema na sinusolve mo, it will be better if you practice convergent thinking. So that leads us to application number 4. You need to categorize what type of problem are you solving. Is it ill-defined and well-defined? And then from there, you choose the appropriate mode of thinking. Are you going to use convergent thinking or divergent thinking? Dapat match, dapat tugma, dapat congruent. Kapag ill-defined, mag-divergent thinking ka. Kapag well-defined, mag-convergent thinking ka. In doing that, kapag tugma yung type of problem sa type of thinking mo, most likely, you are going to solve your problems better. Now, let's go to this term. Another important term in the field of problem solving, yung tinatawag nating insight. Diba? Ibig sabihin ng insight, according to Sternberg and Carwin, 2017, a distinctive and sometimes seemingly sudden understanding of a problem or of a strategy that aids in solving the problem. So, ibig sabihin lang ng insight, all of a sudden, alam mo yung solusyon sa problema na sinosolve mo. In a more layman's terms, ang tawag nila dito yung aha moment mo. Yung meron kang problemang sinosolve, and then meron ka lang ginawang iba, maya-maya biglang alam mo na kung ano yung dapat mong gawin to solve that problem. And I think that is very common in our everyday experiences, di ba? Yung bigla na lang tayong may naisip na solusyon, seemingly out of nowhere, to solve a problem that we have been solving for so long. Ang tawag doon, insight. Trivia, do you know that animals are capable of having insight? In fact, yung picture na pinakita ko kanina is based on an experiment by Kohler where na-discover niya that animals are capable of having insight. So, nakikita niyo yung monkey dyan, merong nakasabit na banana. No? Tapos, pinapaligiran yung monkey ng mga different boxes. Now, the monkey is hungry, gusto niyang makuha yung banana, pero masyadong mataas for his height. Maliit lang kasi yung monkey. So, there was a time na talagang try siya ng try na maabot yung banana, hanggang sa biglang nakita ng mga experimenter na nagkaroon ng insight yung monkey. Ang ginawa niya, pinagpatong-patong niya yung box, tinungtungan niya yon, and that's the time that he was able to reach for the banana. The monkey had an insight on how to solve his problem. Pero alam nyo, itong insight na ito, meron itong mga prerequisites, di ba? I mean, from how I defined insight, this is good for problem solving. If you want to be a better problem solver, you need to have a lot of insights. Ang tanong, paano ako gagawa ng insight? Kasi may mga prerequisites yan eh. Ano yung mga bagay na dapat meron ako for me to lead myself to have an insight? Okay? According to cognitive psychologists, una, kinakailangan meron kang long exposure to a problem. So, ang insight, nangyayari lang yan if you are already solving the problem for a very long time. Imposibleng first time mo lang makita yung problem, tapos nagkaroon ka kaagad ng insight. It doesn't work that way. The first requirement para magkaroon ka ng insight, nag-a-attempt ka na ng matagal to solve a certain problem. Sabi nga ng mga historians, no? Yung mga great scientists natin, karamihan ng kanilang mga ideas, okay, the theory of relativity, yung mga discovery nila about the cosmos, about gravity, about evolution, about electricity. Alam nyo, yung mga scientists na yan, before naisip nila yung mga theories nila, they have been working for those problems for a very long time. Okay, marami na silang mga tanong about their fields na matagal na nilang ina-attempt na masagot. And while they were doing that, dahil matagal na nilang iniisip yung mga possible answers to their problems, one day, bigla silang nagkaroon ng insight on how to solve the problems that they have. So yan yung una yung dapat tatandaan, no? Kinakailangan matagal mo nang sinusolve yung problema para magkaroon ka ng insight. Number two, another way or another prerequisite para magkaroon ng insight is you incubate the problem. This is connected to number one. Kasi kapag long exposure ka na sa problem, so araw-araw mong iniisip kung paano i-solve yung problem mo. Paano ako makakabayad ng utang, araw-araw mong iniisip yan. There will come a time na mapapagod yung iyong mind sa pag-iisip of solutions to your problem. According to cognitive psychologists, kapag dumating ka na sa point na pagod ka nang mag-isip ng solution sa problema mo, alam nyo kung ano palang dapat gawin? You need to incubate the problem. Ibig sabihin ng incubate the problem is you consciously stop thinking about the problem. So isip ka ng solusyon, napagod ka, anong gawin mo? Pahinga ka muna. Huwag mo munang isipin yung problema, gumawa ka muna ng ibang bagay. And what happens is when you incubate the problem, ang tawag nila dyan, incubation effect, maya-maya, even without you thinking about the problem, biglang magkakaroon ka ng insight to solve the problem. At kapag nagkaroon ka na ng insight, pwede mo nang balikan yung problema, apply your insight, and then solve the problem. That's very interesting in the field of cognitive psychology. I think what incubation effect is teaching us is our mind has the ability to solve its problems on its own without our conscious awareness. Ang problem-solving skills ng mind natin can be in the subconscious level. Kasi isa yan sa mga theories ng incubation effect. No? Paano ka nagkakaroon ng insight to solve a problem? Kanina, iniisip mo, hindi mo masolve yung problema. Kung kailan mo hindi iniisip yung problema, biglang doon ka nagkaroon ng solusyon. One theory is, while you are doing something else, doon sa subconscious level mo, your mind is still solving that problem na iniwan mo. Okay? Kaya parang meron siyang autopilot mode in solving the problem. Kaya nung nagkaroon siya ng insight, okay, yung subconscious mo, binato niya yung insight doon sa consciousness mo, now you go back to the problem and be able to solve it. Kaya application number 5 in relation to this, one way to make yourself a better problem solver, palipasin mo muna ang oras. Let's say you are trying to solve a problem, talagang hirap na hirap kang solusyonan, hindi mo maisip kung anong dapat mong gawin. Merong wisdom yung wag mo munang isipin yung problema, gawa ka muna ng iba, let your subconscious solve the problem on its own. Application number 6 in relation to that, no? Konektado na to, no? Huwag tumakbo sa problema. 'Di ba sabi ko nga kanina, yung insight nagkakaroon ka niyan if you have been exposed to that problem for a certain amount of time. Therefore, huwag mong takbuhan yung problema. Kasi kapag may problema ka and you are not facing it head on, tinatakbuhan mo, naglalasing ka, o nagsha-shopping ka na lang, o nakikipagbarkada ka na lang, nakikipag-inuman ka na lang doon para hindi mo maisip yung problema mo, hindi ka magkakaroon ng insight. Kasi kinakat mo yung exposure mo from that problem. But that's exactly what you need to solve your problem. Diba? To have an insight, you need to be exposed to the problem long enough. Tandaan nyo to, every moment that you spend in thinking about the problem, or every time that you spend not running away from the problem, but meeting the problem head on, unti-unti you are getting closer to the solution. Kaya kapag ang attitude mo, iniiwasan mo yung problema, takbo ka ng takbo sa problema, o binibigay mo yung problema sa ibang tao, pinapasolve mo sa ibang tao, hindi ka nagkakaroon ng insight. Hindi ka nagkakaroon ng tamang solusyon sa problema. The only way to solve a problem is for you to meet that problem head on. Kaya nga in our spiritual life, totoo din yan eh. 'Di ba? Sabi sa book of James, consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance. When you are patient enough to stay in the problem, hindi ka kaagad sumusuko, hindi ka kaagad nag-give up. Binibigyan mo ng time yung sarili mo to solve the problem. At the end of the process, after you solve the problem, may magandang mangyari sa'yo. Ano yun? You develop perseverance. Because that's what it means to persevere. Diba? You are staying within the problem kahit na mahirap siyang isolve. And once you are able to solve that problem in the future because you stayed, because you tried hard, because you tried long enough, ang magandang mangyayari sa'yo is you become a more persevering person. Meron pang development na nangyari sa personality mo na maganda. Diba? Nag-improve na nga yung problem-solving ability mo, at the same time, mas na-develop pa ng maganda yung character mo. You became more persevering. Okay, so I think ikakat po muna dito yung first part of the different approaches that we can use to solve problems. Pag-uusapan natin yung second part sa next episode. So I hope you learned something sa pagsosolve ng inyong problems in a more effective way. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you and God bless.